Hello and welcome to this fifth or sixth webinar in the series here at IESE Business School, talking about the impact of the virus on business and on management and on leadership. My name is Mike Rosenberg. I'm a professor of strategy here at IESE Business School, and thank you for signing in. If you're here in Europe, good afternoon. If you are in Shanghai, good evening. It's 11 p.m. And if you're in New York City or other parts of the United States or North America, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here, and really what we're trying to do with this series of webinars is really reach out to everyone and do what we can to help people in their companies, to help people in their families, and to help people kind of get through these very complicated and very difficult times. Today we have a real treat. We have Javier Santoma. Javier is a professor at IESE Business School. You've been a professor for 37 years, if I understand. Yeah, you did your PhD work at Wharton many years ago, and if you don't know, Wharton Business School is probably one of the best places in the world besides the IESE for studying finance. Javier's been a finance professor here, and he's really a specialist on financial markets, and I understand you're obsessed with liquidity.
That's right. Okay, liquidity is almost my alma mater.
Your alma mater, your watchword. So we'll touch on that in a few minutes. Javier, I'm a university professor. I don't have a lot of money. But I'm trying to save a little bit of money for the future, and people have been telling me for weeks or months now that I should put some in the stock market because it's doing so well. So finally, about 30 days ago, I put a little bit of money in the stock market, and in 30 days, it's dropped 38%. Does this make sense? I mean, is my money gone? Is it going to go? Does this spectacular drop that we see in markets all over the world, is this sensible, or is this people just kind of reacting to some kind of crazy panic?
Well, thank you, Michael, and welcome to all. The question is very good. The answer is going to be complicated. What we are talking here is trying to understand what happens in the markets. But yes, it's true. No, you have seen a tremendous drop. In your case, 38% drop.
No, there's not that much money, but anyway.
And somehow you are lucky. You are lucky. Some people are faring far worse. No? So let me try to come up with some ideas, trying to see if this drop makes sense or doesn't make sense. So I would like just to work with you. Okay. So some ideas, trying to show if what is happening in the markets is consistent. Okay, with other parts of the economy. It is a standalone. It's just craziness. Or what rationality is there in there? No? So let me start with the facts. No, that was these are the returns. Okay, from 1 month. It does not include Monday. Okay, because we were preparing. But you can see that this drop. Okay,
my case is not exceptional. It's
no, that's the point. What we are talking is about 4 indexes that practically cover. Okay, what we could call the OECD countries, countries that are well developed, and there's a lot of consistency there. That's 30% drops, a little bit more here in Spain at the IBEX, who has not been performing well, but this means that really this is far off. It's stretching around the whole economy, but mainly on the stock markets. Okay, so those companies, they are in the stock market.
Javier, do you see a link between which indexes are further down and where the virus is hitting first? Because Spain, of course, we were probably 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the U.S. Is that a reason for the IBEX to be further down than Dow Jones?
Not necessarily, to be honest, because the IBEX is very much leaned towards banks. And that in itself, it really creates.
So that's too superficial. That's a strategy professor's point of view, not a finance professor's.
No, it's a small. Let's say that it's small. If you're in small, that means that you are not very well diversified.
Okay.
So you were talking about your 38% drop. Here, what has happened to those who invested, in IAG, British Airways, Iberia, well, a 77% drop. So really. What we are talking in these indices is the average. Okay, so yes, some companies have been doing better than that, but some are suffering much more the drop. Okay, well-positioned companies. Just to have this idea and to put it in perspective, let me just go a little bit. I make a little bit of history here. We have this graph, seeing what has happened the last 3 years. And again, now here we have this for the indexes, one for Japan, for Spain, for Europe, and the other one
No,
for
the blue
United
one. The blue
States.
one is U.S. The black one
That's
is
right.
Japan.
That's right.
Okay.
And what do you see here is that even if the let's say this index has taken the same drop, it's not the same. Okay, in the last 3 years they have made even, whereas you can see the other index is really getting in the red. So we may say that at this moment, from the point of view of what has happened in the stock market, for some people the last 3 years have almost been missed except for dividends. Okay. And if you take a longer look, let's the 20. I mean, I guess it's good to take these different views, because otherwise you get so concentrated on what is happening today that you forget about a little bit about history, if you want. No? Okay. But here you have that again. No, and you have in green what happens in the Standard Poor's, and
Standard and Poor's. That's the U.S. kind of tech.
Yeah. Well, no, it's really very, very wide.
It's
It's very, I mean, somehow it's similar to the Dow Jones. These are the big companies. It's not the NASDAQ,
Okay.
But again, you can see that the American economy has been very much better. But the other three, both, the FTSE, the one based in London, the one based in Tokyo, and the IBEX, well, they have, these negative returns. Again, this is a little bit masquerade because of the dividends, but really we can see that, 20 years after that, taking into account this reduction, I mean, and this is what is the stock market, is really, something goes up and down. And what we're having here is nothing special. I mean, that means
they've been flat. Markets have been flat for a long time, basically.
I mean, I insist. I mean, there are other ticks, especially for dividends, but yeah, I mean, you may see that you take these 20 years and you have this is the relationship. So, talking about this drop, I mean, and trying to see it historically, I have been taking some data, and this comes very much from the work of Pablo Fernandez, a colleague of mine, many of you know it, at the finance department. And he has this way to look at the stock market, and he looks at how much has been the drop from the last maximum of the stock.
So it goes up and then it drops. So where's that distance?
Exactly, no? And it's really remarkable because you see that practically every decade, the 40s, the maximum drop was 50%. Remember that we are talking now. In the 50s, there was a drop of 40%. The happy 60s were okay. 70s, oil shock, a drop of 70%. Then it recovers, but the drop was 70%. And you can see that even in the 2000, 2002, the tech, 50%, 2009, we can talk about the financial crisis, another drop of 50%, 2012, a 60% from the maximum, and here we are. No? So what I would say is that let's take a little bit of perspective. Yeah, this is a big drop, but for those of us who are in the stock market, I mean, I would say
markets go up and they drop.
It's normal, A 50% drop, it may happen once, twice every 10 years. So good. Now the thing is, some just trying to show up a little bit more. Some very, very, very clear examples of how much this market, the stock market, is volatile. You have the Nasdaq, in 2000 going down from 5,000 to 2,000, so a 60% drop. The same with the Chinese stock market index. So
these are historical pictures of what happened.
Historical pictures, but this is something that happens. And we know that we are invested in that. You should be ready. For every 5-6 years to have something like
some kind
this.
of thing. Yeah,
Now the issue here is, in this occasion, because that's what we are the markets overreacting? I mean, really, the markets are overdoing it. Now, this tremendous decrease or reduction of 30-40%, in your case 40%, in the case of IAG 70%, doesn't make any sense. And that's what I would like to explore with you.
Please do.
So the first thing, would be say, well, this drop, I'm talking about the IBEX, but we could do the same for the Standard Poor's, for the American stock market, for the British. I have been trying to value, okay, what has been the loss? The loss, okay, when we talk about a 35, 36% drop, how much money is this, no? So here we have, okay, that in February 19, we were just reaching the maximums of the last years, okay, 10,000 for the IBEX level, and now we are around 6,400. The market cap at February was, the value of all of the 35 companies, okay, sitting in the IBEX was 585,000 euros. So eventually you could buy, okay, all those stocks by 585,000, take it all. And now it's worth 374,000. So we have
from 500 billion to
374
374 billion in American billions.
yeah,
Million
that-
thousands in Spanish.
millions, exactly. That's right. So that's a loss of 210,000 American billions. Now, you may consider this many different ways, but wow, what has happened? Has this evaporated? I mean, you could really make this in cash. Okay, no? So let's make a short walk about what does this mean. That doesn't make any sense really to have a drop in the value of the stocks 30%. Oh, this is spurious. I mean, there are other reasons that have nothing to do with the companies, no?
Right.
And have to do with the market. So I would like to look at some reasons why we have this big drop and try to see if it is, okay, the real economy or it's something else, okay? So the first thing I have been trying to do, okay, is to compare this 200,000 loss to what we expect the Spanish economy to lose from this coronavirus. I know, I mean, some of these companies, IAG, okay, that is okay in the stock market, the Spanish stock market, also okay, are international companies. But this, what I'm looking is for proportionality. So I have been trying to make, okay, an evaluation on how much will cost us, okay, this coronavirus in terms of the Spanish economy.
Right, so you're trying to compare the Spanish economy will lose so much. Does that make sense that the companies in Spain lose about the same?
Exactly.
And you can apply the same thing to the American economy, to the English
Exactly.
economy, to the Saudi Arabian economy if you want. We have some people from Saudi on the chat, so you can do that anywhere. Yeah.
So I have made some numbers, okay.
And does it make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense. That's the point, okay. There's a lot of econometrics here, okay. I have just gone really very, very, okay.
Don't
much of the
share
data.
the economics. Just give
No,
us the answer.
but just the numbers are that a potential evaluation of the loss, high would be 100,000. Actually, the Spanish government has given the figure of 120,000 millions or 120 billions
to the Spanish economy.
to the Spanish economy.
So these companies would only be a tiny share of that.
15% if you want to take it.
At the most.
So really, I mean, you say we are losing a lot on one side, but the real thing, the real economy, provided that this lasts no more than 3 months, that's another issue, okay?
By the way, we had our colleague Alberto Fernandez in another webinar, which is on the website, on the LinkedIn platform, and he's basically assuming that the whole thing, the emergency, will last 2 or 3 months. So you say that this stock market is not because the companies will, with the exception of British Airways maybe, it's not because they're going to miss this kind of income.
It is difficult to
Doesn't make
link up, okay? So there
So what
have to
else?
be
There must be
other
another
reasons.
reason.
So let's talk about what would be, okay, the common, okay, explanations. No? One of them is, wow, we have this coronavirus, okay, the world has stopped. Well, the world has not stopped, okay? Here we have, okay, the consumption, okay, of energy in 6 countries. And the red line is what we are consuming now, okay? The green line was, okay, the usual consumption. And then you can see that, for instance, in the case of Spain, there are some things that keep moving, okay? Evidently, there's the domestic part of it, but there are many other things that are working. Take Germany also. I mean, you can see that maybe it's a 70, 60, 80%. No? Take China, which is not here. No, it is considered at this moment that the capacity production is around 60%. Okay, and this is okay the activity index. So yes, we have the coronavirus. Yes, we are in quarantine. But there are parts of the economy that keep on working, and it's not a 10%. 60, 55, 70%.
Okay, so it's not because the world stops.
Here we have the retail sector, and we can see the same. Okay, and the retail sector has been badly beaten, but still, okay, we're talking.
If I just, for those of you who are looking at this on your phone, the dark blue line at the bottom is Italy, and it makes sense that Italy is on the bottom, then US, and then Sweden and UK at the top.
So here we're talking about one of the worst sectors, okay, a 30% activity, okay, which means that, yes, we're stopped, okay, we're slowed, but not stopped, okay? Okay, well, here are some production sectors I go fast with this, okay? So possible reasons for this decoupling between the real economy and the stock market. The first thing is, wow, we have this reduction in sales. Yeah, the companies are selling less. But we have seen that this is not enough to justify. It's true, okay? We are selling less, we have companies with difficulties, but from the point of view of the loss of the country, doesn't make sense. It's not enough. What other things we have? Hey, I am a finance professor. I don't know if you remember, Mike, that we used to talk about the discount rate. Does it make sense? The time value of money. I invest in the stock now, and I expect to receive money in the future. Wow, but in the future, okay, I have the time reduces the value of what we'll have. So maybe what has happened is that the interest rates have gone up.
Have they?
If they go up, prices go down.
Have the interest rates gone up?
Yeah, but very little.
Huh.
And then is what is happening now in the United States, okay? We know that all the government policies go into really pulling resources and liquidity into the market. So interest rates probably will go down again. Okay, so that shouldn't be
it should not be the interest rates.
No.
Okay.
So here are the indexes, okay, and the bonds.
Don't worry. I believe you. It's not the interest rate. So what is it?
Now, factor 3, maybe it's just a market correction. You know that for some time, it's always the same. There are some people who say, wow, the stock market is very high. This year will come the big market correction.
Well, we actually have a question from Tulio Martins, one of the people who's saying, "Hey, isn't the stock market just overvalued?" So this is your question, Tulio.
Yeah. That's something that it always happens the same. Okay, so you can start looking, okay, at the price earning ratios, the relationship between value and so on, trying to see, okay, the growth expected. Okay, and that may be okay. One reason to say it was maybe overvalued.
At least in the American market, because that's the one that's gone higher maybe than some of the other European and international markets.
That's right. No, but it spills over. Okay, and you say, well, what has happened here is just that the coronavirus has provoked it. Okay. Now, the other thing that may happen, and here we are starting to get a little bit more talking about the stock market, is that some people buy, okay, stocks, but with a leveraged position. They ask for a loan, and they buy stocks. They pay 1-2% on the loan, and they expect to get 8-10% on the stocks. Wow, big business.
Risky business.
Big risky business. Now, they are going down. They are really trying to reduce the positions. They are selling as mad because they want to repay the loan as fast as possible. No? Maybe they think that it's not a good business, but they want to make even. Okay, so that may happen. Yes, I am for sure there are a part of the public, of the sellers, that are trying to close positions. Not only this, okay, we have the future markets. Okay, the future markets in some cases are bigger than the stock market, and again, they are related. So maybe some people have special positions, so they are selling no matter what the price, practically, because they are trying. Another thing that we have is the level of uncertainty. Okay? Actually, we don't know if it is going to be 3 months, 2 months, 4 months, and what is going to be the spillover. Say, well, yeah, the quarantine is over, but things do not move at the same speed.
Right. We actually have a question from Alexander Miller talking about, will things pick up again, or will people stay flat in terms of consumption?
Well, that's a very interesting question.
We can take it later. Don't worry.
We can say we take it. It's the V shape or U shape, But the thing is that the level of uncertainty, the way the markets are seeing it is tremendous. Okay, here and just as an example. Okay, we have this index. Okay, the VIX index, the volatility index. This index tells us how much the markets are moving. Okay. For those of you who are in statistics, would be the standard deviation, okay, But this is telling you, wow, the higher the peak, the more
It's
it
called
moves.
the VIX, the VIX.
VIX, volatility index. Okay. Well, surprisingly, now we are at the highest level ever.
And you're surprised?
No. No, because what has happened is that it has gone very fast and maybe not that deep, but very fast. And this has really put up, this volatility index. There is another volatility index, which is the one of Professor Ariño, which is not at the maximum, but it incorporates other things. So volatility, yes, it may, really showing it up, And then I come to my favorite factor, liquidity.
Because you're obsessed with liquidity.
Because I'm upset of liquidity.
Obsessed.
Obsessed and upset.
Okay.
That's what things. No? Why do I say this? Because at the end of the day, the stock market is a market of buyers and sellers. We think that the price of the stock has something to do with value. And I would say that fairly is a good idea. But at some moments, we can decouple. And here, I guess that we have a good reason. Some people have an apartment where they live of their own, and maybe they have a car, and then they have some savings placed in the stock market. If you see the actual situation...
Huge amounts of Americans have a lot of their money in 401ks, which are all linked to mutual funds, which are all linked to the stock market, or many of them.
Now we know that because of this quarantine, maybe you will be restrained in your liquidity. Maybe, even doesn't matter where you are. Maybe you are having, one of these ERTEs, temporary, agreements where you are off, job, or the company is having some.
And when you say people are restraining their liquidity, it means they're running out of money, or they think they're running out of money,
or they think that they might run out of money in 1 or 2 months.
They're concerned about having enough money in the bank, which means they might sell their stock.
Yeah, that's the point. The nice thing about the stock market is that it's liquid. It's one of the few things that you can just sell at the snap of your fingers. You cannot do this with the real estate unless you have a rates. You're stuck, and you can sell it, but when?
Sure. And if they think it's going down, maybe I want to sell it before somebody else makes it go down further, and then you get this kind of sell-off.
But that could be a strategy, I would say. You can do it, But essentially is, I am planning that I will need money. Where can I get it?
I go online, click, and I'm home anyway, so I have time to go online.
That's right. That's right. But you see, and I guess that everybody who is in the stock market knows this very well. You have the prices of the things, of the stocks. But one of the big and main advantages is that it's extremely liquid. Then you have people selling. Where are the buyers? The buyers maybe have the same difficulty than the sellers, no?
Right.
So anyway, if there are not, they may come and show up, but clearly has been imbalanced. And I guess that this is the big reason, for it.
So it's liquidity. It's maybe a little bit of a correction. And maybe it's some people trying to deleverage radical positions that they've taken.
And the hurt of the economy as well. But it's partial.
Because there was a real thing stopped for a couple of months, and there is a real thing.
That's right.
How long? We have a whole bunch of questions from different people.
How long? No,
how long is this going to go on, and will it all snap back in 3 months, or when someone starts with a vaccine, or something happens?
I can go 2 ways here. I can look at what has happened. In other instances, and I guess that the nice thing about this crisis is that it's very different from any other crisis. We don't have here, a problem with technology. I mean, it's not, a disruption of technology, no. We don't have here a problem, of production, not a problem of financial system, the banks were doing reasonably, we don't have here a problem, with techs. What we have here is that the world has stopped. Do you remember that film, the Sleeping Beauty, Walt Disney? You remember that when the Aurora marries, everything is frozen because the witch stops everything and then passes the time. And when the prince comes and gives, then wow, everything flourishes.
So when Prince Charming comes and gives us all a kiss, will
be the same.
things pop up?
Yeah, that's what we are shooting for. Okay, but really we are in uncharted. No?
No,
and
no.
I guess that most of the policies go that direction. But what I mean is that there has not been.
The fundamentals are okay.
Yeah. Then you may have some business going out, and that's what I would like to talk now. I mean,
Yeah. Well, Javier, I mean, you said liquidity is critical. We've got the situation. The world has stopped. If you're the CFO, and I think IESE Business School produces lots of CFOs, and I'm sure that many of you online today have a role of CFO or a treasury director or a CEO who's listening to their CFO, maybe on the call. What should a CFO do to kind of get through this time period, which we don't really know how long it is? What if they knew it was 3 weeks, that's fine. If they knew it was 3 months, maybe, but we don't really know.
Yeah, no, and it is very serious. Okay, it's very serious. This is hurting families, business, and even the institutions and the government. No, so I have been trying to work out what would be a small model, an 8-step model.
8-step model. So you have the 8 steps.
I have 8 steps.
Do these 8 steps, and it'll be okay.
No, I would say I can offer 8 steps. Maybe you can use 1 or 2. And to reflect
Please
on that.
Tell us the 8 steps, and then we'll go to questions.
Okay, so I'm sure that some of them will be not really helpful for most of you, but I expect that at least one of them can give some clicking. Okay. So let's start talking about this issue about the liquidity management. I was saying really a lot of it. Okay, so when you were talking about the crisis, here we have the different types of crisis, and here what we have, as I was saying, is a different type. Okay. We have a frozen situation coming from one that was kind of normal, regular, not big thing, okay? Now, when we talk about liquidity, I need to stop here a moment and talk about the sales multiplier. Okay, what the hell is this, no? I mean, we have seen the first, the early stages that we were talking about a possible loss for the country of something like 100,000 million, 120,000 million. No? So what you would expect to say is, well, I come here with 100,000 million, wow, that's it. We have solved the problem. Well, yes and not. Because one thing is how much you lose, and another very different thing are the invoices, the volume of unpaid invoices. And that's the reason I put this sales multiplier. And it is very, very simple. What I'm saying here, is that you have, imagine, you're an expert in automotive, okay? So let's imagine that we have, Volkswagen. And let's say that Volkswagen sells, a car for 10 to the consumer. Well, but Volkswagen has sold for 10, but has been buying, to suppliers tier 1 for 8. And suppliers tier 1 have been buying to tier 2 suppliers 6 in order to provide for them.
And really, you have to add all that up. 10 plus 8 plus 6 plus 3 plus 2, whatever.
So from the point of view of the gross domestic product is 10. But from the point of view what is in the pipeline and the invoices is 30.
Okay.
So here we have that whatever we do, in liquidity, we have to keep in mind that it is not enough to think in how much the country may be losing. We have to think about this multiplier.
Sure.
So really, I mean, when you give for allowance to where the liquidity issues, you have to put, to factor out a multiplier number. Maybe it's 3, 2, 2.5, but it's really, So let us look. What I mean is that this is a big problem.
Sure.
In terms of volume, much bigger than how much money, the country loses.
But they're all waiting for the 8 things they're supposed to do.
Okay, so let's, first one. And this is, I would say, the way to think of, Normally, when you try to evaluate how much money you need and how you will solve, you start doing this cash forecast, saying how much do I have to pay every month and so on. I would say, at this moment, forget this. What are we supposed to do? I guess that our responsibility is to be able, when the quarantine finishes, to have the business up and ready. So that the government says, okay, June 1st, May 15, May 1st, you can go.
I like May 1st better than.
Yeah, May 1st, okay, May 1st. Then you as an entrepreneur, okay,
So
you have
this is your step one. How much cash do I need to go?
exactly at that moment, at the end of the quarantine.
Okay.
Not if I can pay now. No. If I have a restaurant,
I got it.
how much do I need to entice my workers to come, to pay the suppliers if they don't? I mean, even if I owe them money, say, hey, here is the money, so you give me, okay, the meat and the
Okay.
bread, okay? So that's, and from there comes the step two. You work backwards, okay? You start saying, well, given this, wow,
If I need 50,000 euros on May 15th, what do I need to do to get there with 50,000 euros?
and even
Or
you can do the
500,000
reverse.
or 50 million,
If
whatever.
you have 60,000 now, just take 50,000, preserve it, and now let us see what we can do backwards.
With the money we have.
okay?
Yeah, got it.
And then it's true, we have different scenarios. This can last for 1, 2, 3 months. So I would suggest to make 3 scenarios. No? But in there, have you see this okay, the sign of money and the other, the cash is king. Please, I mean, do whatever it takes. What I say is a very, very strong thing, but it's my thought. Our responsibility now is to make sure that when the quarantine finishes, the business are alive. Our business are alive.
Well, certainly we have a responsibility to the men and women who work for us
For sure.
to help them. So we have to balance those two responsibilities somehow.
For sure. But they have that I mean, it's in a sense eclectic. But our biggest responsibility is to make sure that their workplaces will be there
When they come back.
when they come back.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
So,
So-
step 2 is the budget with 3
Okay.
different scenarios. Step 3 is the worst case scenario.
just to see if you will have enough money. And another thing is, we have these government measures. We know that the government is going to be guarantees, okay, for 100,000 millions, okay, in order to give credits to the bank. What is the problem there? It's not the amount of money. It's that we don't know how they will do it and how long it will take. So you may say, oh, no problem, okay, I have this business, sales have gone down, I will receive the money.
When?
When and how? Because it's not the same if the government gives you 100%, okay, whatever, 50,000 euros, warranted by the government, or the bank is obliged to chip in into that loan saying, well, if you don't repay, 20% is going to be against the bank. Wow.
So there's different mechanisms.
Ooh, but that's very different because
Yeah.
the bank will start really looking really what is going on there.
Right,
okay?
right.
So I would say that when you have the cash, the government, you remake your
Got
scenarios.
it.
Okay. Another thing, if you have a business, there are some, maybe you are making some money, but there are some people who are making money with you, and those are the suppliers. Suppliers sell you because they make profit with you. And they make profit 2 ways. One, because they have, okay, the profit margin, but also because they have the contribution margin, which means that really is the part of this, of what you are paying, that is also helping, okay, the fixed cost. Wow. Analyze that. Because if they make a lot of margin with you, I can tell you that you can negotiate with them. Because you are business in the future for them. They don't want to kill you. They will probably give you out, okay, away. So,
And the way you're thinking about, hey, if you pay on 60 days, pay in 90 days. If you pay in 90 days, pay at 180 days. Say, hey, I'm not going to pay you until this is over. Trust me.
trust me, it does me because I'm a very good business.
I'm a good customer,
for
and
you.
you're making money with me. And if you
And you will make
and
if
you
I am
don't-
alive.
And if you don't help me now, I won't be there tomorrow.
Or
Okay.
maybe I will be there, but without you. Okay, that's another thing. No?
That's another thing. Yeah, yeah.
So study your suppliers.
That's on the supplier side, and then the same story on the customer.
Exactly. No, so differentiate. So it says veering, okay. But differentiate your clients between those that have been very there's missing it's not beer, it's have been. Okay.
Yeah. No, but the point is, it's just like you're pushing your suppliers. Your customers will be calling you to say, "Hey, I can't pay." So you have to decide what to do when everybody does step forward to you.
Yeah, and I guess that here we have to try to avoid saying, well, it's true that they cannot pay. No, I would suggest study their income statement, study their balance sheet. That information is very, very easy to find. And you will see, I mean, up to what extent that client is strong enough. And if they cannot pay you 100% of what they owe you, I mean, don't settle for less than 50 or 40%, okay? Because you really need the cash, okay? So let's move on, okay? Another thing you have to consider, though, because we are talking many times about fixed cost and variable cost, is that this is a nice, okay, differentiation, but there are other ways to differentiate the cost that you have, okay? One is, can I really withdraw from the contract? And the second is, can the payment be delayed? And this withdrawing from a given contract can happen both in the fixed and the variable. Okay? And we can be talking, but really that's something that we have to think. Fixed is not fixed, okay? Not necessarily is fixed, okay? Step 6, talk to your banker. I mean, I know I have been talking to my friends, the bankers, and well, they are receiving so many calls. They know that this is not because your business is good or bad. It's just because it has happened. So they can also be helpful. Okay, and they know that if they don't help you, that they will not either recover the money. Okay, so probably they are the first. And then I say this with a very small mouth, but we have in our legal system a way to help companies that are short of liquidity, but with viable business plans. And these are the bankruptcy laws. And you know that there are different ways to tackle this, but if you go to the courts, and you tell, look, I have this business that is viable, but now I cannot pay, it's very probable that the judge will say, okay, we put a stop here to all the things, the money that you owe, and you can start. And then we will see how we solve.
This is a bit of a nuclear option, or
it's a bazooka. Yeah, it's
or
a
is
nuclear
it
option.
something that people shouldn't be so worried about?
No, this
I mean,
say.
The president of the United States has been bankrupt a number of times. He seems to be doing fine.
Yeah, that's right. No, I would say that this legally is very burdensome, but I guess it's part of the tools. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if anything works out and you think that you have a viable business in the future, just go for it. Okay, put a stop into the drainage of liquidity.
It may be necessary.
Okay, and then the 8th step is please, whatever you do it now, because it's something you cannot drag around. Okay.
Javier, there's a question from one of our former students. Because besides being a professor, you're also on the board of a couple of companies. You're in touch with lots of people. Do you know somebody who's done this? Are you in contact with some people who are doing this right now?
What do you mean?
Following the 8 steps?
No, actually, he has made it up just for this. Okay, but it's full of it's common sense. I call it 8 steps because I thought that I had to give some.
And I think the other thing you said, which is very important, is it depends on everyone's situation.
Yeah,
these are not 8 steps which apply equally to everybody. One of the questions, which was actually to me, but I'm not sure, I'm going to give it to you. Do you think some companies or some industries will be responding quicker after this crisis, will be able to turn the lights on faster than others? Do you think there'll be differences in that?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, it's evident. Okay, well, but the thing is, it's even now. Okay, you have, for instance, agricultural sector.
They're full on.
They're full on.
The toilet paper business must be doing great.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
because everybody's buying toilet paper, right?
So no, yeah. It is evident, no? And then there's some things that you need no matter what. Okay, so, and it is true that what I expect somehow is that some of the production that have been lost, it can be recovered. Okay, it might be recovered.
Latent demand in certain sectors.
Because in some sectors,
people need a new car. They have not bought a new car in the last 2 months. They may buy that car in September, but they'll buy the car.
That's about, but that will depend very much on the policies, that the governments install and the length of the crisis, no. But that is for certain. No?
Have you looked at the ESM, the European Stability Mechanism? Seems that the European government is taking a little bit of a different line than some of the other parts of the world. The U.S. and the U.K. have cut interest rates. ECB is taking a different approach.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that? Do you
Yeah,
wanna
yeah,
comment
yeah.
on that? I've got a few different questions about that.
Well, I can comment on the financial measures, okay, which is exactly now. So what we have, okay, at the end of the day, what we have is a very dynamic situation, which every government is changing, okay, as
As
learning.
things happen, yeah, sure.
But what we see is a lot of money on the table, a lot of money. No?
As much as in the financial crisis of 2008, 2009?
Well, much faster, I would say.
Faster.
Much faster, okay, much faster. And it was, in the case of the financial crisis, it was very, very much, okay, you could design that it was really the financial sector that was, okay, dire straits. No? Here, no. Here we have, okay, this is over the board.
It's the real economy.
It's the real economy.
There's a question here. I'm not sure if I understand the question. You might. Will the recovery be a V shape or an L shape?
A U shape. Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you explain the question at least to me and then maybe answer it?
Yeah, I guess that if you call, the V shape
I guess V
really
shape.
means that it goes fast, very quick. The distance between the 2 points is relatively, and it goes up very quick. Okay. If you talk about the L or U shape, it means that at the bottom, just take time. Okay, so this could be much more harmful for the economy, no? And I guess here the point is, evidently, is if the virus can be killed, no, at the end of the day, okay. So if really we have, okay, a stop of 2 or 3 months, we can live with that. But if
I understand it's going to take at least a year to get a vaccine.
That's the
because
point.
it has to go through clinical trials, et cetera, and antivirals might be sooner or might be later, but
And the worst case scenario is that you can be infected again. And remember, this is a global world again, so maybe some countries will be unable to control the disease. So it will
there's
infect
a
again.
question:
No?
is this going to hit the whole process of globalization and internationalization? Or are we going to either slow it down or even turn it backwards?
Yeah, I want to think not, but if we cannot control it, okay, it's evident that we will start really putting, okay, frontiers, okay, health frontiers again. No? So yeah.
Now, some other people are saying that there's been a debt crisis going on for a while, and now we have this new crisis on top of what might have been or could be a debt crisis. Will this trigger a debt crisis?
Yeah, well, I go to the last one. Okay, it's over here. Okay, the weakest link. Okay. So talking about the dangers. Okay, so it's like being sick and saying, well, but you had all the other illnesses before, no? Okay, so yeah, okay. One of the illnesses we were talking before the coronavirus was the level, okay, of indebtedness of the governments. Okay. And now we are talking about adding up 100,000 plus. We are seeing, okay, this
because
is what
they're going to make this massive stimulus to try to keep things going and get things back.
That's right.
And they'll borrow the money.
They borrow the money, probably it's going to be, okay, debt, sovereign debt. Then we have also this European Central Bank putting the 750,000 million. But then again, no, it's going to be, okay, this is going to be mainly liquidity, buying government bonds. But at the end, what it seems clear is that the level, okay, of sovereign debt will increase. If you add up to this, that I guess that they have it here, okay, the total debt, in this case of Spain, that's 230% of the GDP. Yeah, here we have an issue, which is less of an issue when we have interest rates at 0%. But and in this sense it may help. But yeah, there is turmoil in the market. There's a ring saying, well, let us see what happens with the corporate debt, okay, especially in the States. Let us see, okay, that we will not reproduce something similar to what has happened, okay, in the financial crisis.
Yeah, to quote the governor of New York State, he said, well, we have a health crisis, which we have to deal with today, and we'll deal with the economic crisis tomorrow. But what you're saying from a company point of view is don't wait till tomorrow. You're saying think about things today, do your homework, think about where you need to be when it's over, and work backwards and make your budgets.
I guess it's a nice summary. I know that may sound tough, no? But again, I think that this is our responsibility, really, to make sure that those places, those jobs, okay, that were before the coronavirus will be there, okay? And it is responsibility of the governments, okay, really to look in between.
To look in between. Do you expect the governments to do kind of radical things? Do you expect the Chinese to go on a global buying spree? Do you expect the Spanish government to nationalize a bank or something? Do you expect any kind of really big things like that? Or do you think this will be a blip, and after the blip, things will go back to normal?
I guess that the governments, okay, the European Union and the states and all the countries will do whatever it takes, and they can. Because it comes a moment that maybe you cannot do more, no? But I guess that they will do whatever it takes. And in terms of liquidity, they will put the money they will be needed, okay. In terms of salaries, okay, or wages, or the helicopter money that Trump is talking about, okay. And here, I guess that you have different policies, okay.
The helicopter money is the idea to give everybody $1,000 a month to get through the crisis. Yeah, this is actually Andrew Yang's living wage, when he was a Democratic presidential hopeful who's withdrawn from the race, of course.
I guess that Nuria Mas is coming, no?
Yeah. So
I guess that some of this, she will be really keen to talk about
all of
points
this.
now.
So Javier, thank you so much for taking your time this afternoon and coming in the situation we're in now, which is a situation of alarm in Spain. Remember that this session is available not only live but also on viewing later on LinkedIn. So if you think one of your people needs to see it, you can give them the link. Be sure to join us tomorrow at the same time. We're going to do another session with Sebastian Reiche. That session will be on managing virtual teams. Many companies are going virtual. The IESE Business School is going virtual. This one we're face to face, but we may be virtual tomorrow. Who knows? So how to manage virtual teams is very important. And we have a whole series of these webinars coming up. I think on Thursday we have communication with Iago de la Cerva, and next week we have a whole bunch of webinars also scheduled. Nuria is actually coming in 2 weeks to kind of talk about where the economy is. Nuria Mas is the head of our economics department. Next Monday at 4 o'clock we have someone from our operations part to talk about the supply chain implications. And I know there's some questions about the supply chain, but we just don't have time to get to all the questions. So I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in live. We have people from all over the world on the session, and that's it's wonderful to see that you're connected to each other, that you're all doing everything you can to help with this situation. So please stay safe and be well, and so long from now from Barcelona.